My name's Amanda Lard. I'm
We
with
are at
African
the
Services
vigil
Committee.
for David Kato.
Before I introduce the speakers, I'd just like to let you know the order of the day. We're going to have about 5 or 6 speakers who will have some short comments. We're then going to light our candles, if you haven't already, and walk down 2nd Avenue to 45th, where we'll turn left to Uganda House. Before we leave, if people could also pick up the flowers, which are here, and also signs. They're just here in front of this camera. When we arrive at Uganda House, we're going to congregate on the other side of the street where we have a permit. And members, representatives from Iglehurk and Human Rights Watch will go across the street to Uganda House and lay the flowers and a letter of our demands at the door of Uganda House to the ambassador to give to the government of Uganda. So, of course, today we're here to honour the life and mourn the death of our brother David Kato, who was brutally murdered last week in his house in Uganda. To set some context for the vigil as we begin, I'd like to introduce Reverend Pat Bumgardner from the Metropolitan Community Church. She's also chair of the Global Justice Institute and the pastor of the Metropolitan Church in New York.
Yay, Reverend Pat.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, theirs is the reign of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, they shall be satisfied. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Your reward is great, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets before you. One of our prophets, David Kato, whose life we gather to honor this afternoon, was persecuted, murdered in Uganda. A school teacher, well-educated, kind, compassionate, caring, out and proud gay man was bludgeoned to death by people who doubtless had been taught by their own spiritual leaders and sanctioned by civil authorities. They doubtless thought they were doing the world, the reign of God, a service by ridding it of one more faggot, as the Bishop of Peru recently called us publicly, ridding the world of the father of the queer rights movement in Uganda. Doubtless you have heard by now of the Anglican priest, Father Thomas Musoki, who had to be pulled from the pulpit at David's funeral liturgy because he thought a funeral, a family's and community's time of mourning, was the appropriate moment to denounce queer life and call us to prepare to be punished by God, as apparently he thought David had been. Well, I am here to say today, in the name of that same God, make no mistake about 2 things. God did not punish David Kato. People uttering all kinds of evil against him, against LGBT people, murdered him falsely in the name of God, taking the name of God in vain. And number 2, what is appropriate in this moment is that we both mourn David's loss and honor his life by stepping up to the plate and calling religious and political and community leaders to account for the hate-filled, ungodly rhetoric that is claiming our lives. Enough is enough. There is no pastor so undereducated that he or she does not know that the Beatitudes, the center of the gospel teaching about those to whom the reign of God belongs, the Beatitudes are an urgent, this moment call to action, to bless the things and the people and the lives that make for peace and just and right relationship among all God's children. Blessed is everyone in this crowd today who has and will continue to pay the price of being out. Blessed is everyone working for the decriminalization of our lives around the globe. Yours, what you're doing, is the plan of God. The Beatitudes, and I know that we are not all religious geeks like I am, but there are a few things that all of us should know in a battle being fought many times in the name of faith, even if falsely. And one of those things is that the heart of the gospel is written in the imperative. Comfort now, Jesus was saying. Justice now for those hungering and thirsting for right relationship. That's what David Cato's life was about. The urgency of this moment and living in a way that makes the freedom and equality of LGBT people in Uganda the agenda of LGBT people living here in the United States. The plight of queer people around the globe, in Iran, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Haiti, in Jamaica, and Pakistan must be our heartfelt plight. David knew that. We must here and now both demand the kind of immigration and asylum reform that not only unites partners, but peoples, our peoples, on safer ground. And that UN embassies around the globe, along with the United Nations, monitor the safety of those who stay to fight. Safe space. We need that everywhere. And telling the truth that this is not a Western agenda, but a divine one. I know that David is with the angels and saints now, enjoying a peace and safety the world has yet to offer queer people in many places. But what really gives me comfort today is the knowledge that he prays for us. He prays that we, as a people, will do the right thing and not let this moment and its clarion call for justice, for the decriminalization of our lives, and for safety for LGBT people the world over. He prays that we will not let this moment pass without speaking up and acting up until at last that promised reign of peace on earth and goodwill among all comes.